So, I understand this is probably irrelevant now since the release of Super Smash Bros. U in the 3DS, but it's irrelevant for them to even exist now because of that. So, as far as I'm concerned, I'm about as faulted as they are because they just released an update, and I feel like I'm the only one who has these set of opinions. And typically, I rant to excuse me, about this kind of stupid shit. But this is a thing that I'm having trouble getting over. So I just want to put it out there, and you guys can think whatever the hell you want. I'm probably going to be saying a lot of things in the heat of the moment, but I'm going to try and just cover everything that there is to cover. So, for those of you who don't know, Project M is a mod for Super Smash Bros. Brawl. All you do is you download the files off the website, put it on a 2 gig or less SD card, and then you go to your stage builder and boot the game up. Well, you would boot the game up, but this is my first complaint with Project M. 9 times out of 10, the game will just crash. It doesn't start, it just crashes. It'll freeze your console, it'll make it seem like it's loading, and it just won't work. And that's my biggest annoyance with this game, is that it just doesn't do. You have to fight it to get it to do, and a lot of the times the only way to solve the crashing problem is to straight up unplug your Wii and then plug it back in and start like that. So that's biggest annoyance number 1 with the game. You don't even get to start the game, just crash. This isn't going to be me tearing on it, by the way. I'm just saying how I feel, so I'm going over good and bad things, because I have such mixed feelings about it that I don't even know where to fall in it. But the first biggest thing that allures most people, which it did with me, was the fact that this game includes Roy and Mewtwo from Melee, which is super cool. And in case it wasn't obvious, the M stands for Melee in Project M. It was mostly meant to just be something for competitive people because they clearly don't own a copy of Melee anymore, so they're like, oh, you know what, let's mod Brawl. Or something like that. I don't know. But Roy and Mewtwo are in the game. That's super cool. They each have 3 different taunts just like the other guys, so they even got super cool custom animations and finishing smashes, which is, super cool. I'm glad they did that. That's cool. I just don't get why they put Mewtwo in it when it was like this thing that Mewtwo was supposed to be the worst character in the game. But I guess after Lucario was introduced, everyone was like, you know what, we liked Mewtwo better. Next, huge change is the fact that they just straight up told the Pokemon trainer to go fuck himself and put in each Pokemon independently. So that's kind of cool. If you choose to just favor Squirtle or Ivysaur or Charizard, you can play as just them. There's no switching out. They replace the down B moves with something else, so they each have a down B. But the biggest thing that makes no sense to me is none of them have a final smash. But that's a thing that I just don't understand. And I think that's a lot of my complaints with this game, is I just don't understand. Because a lot of the choices are just, they have a lot of things that it's like, oh, this is super cool, I'm glad they did that. But they also have a lot of things that are like, what the hell were you thinking? And not having a final smash for 3 characters that already had a final smash is kind of under there. Next, which I feel a lot of these changes were pretty, well deserved, because it was like, you know what, no one really cared for that anyway, is they modified a lot of the movesets for certain characters. The only one that really pisses me off is the changes to Samus. And that pisses me off because not only do I main Samus, but they're just not necessary. For example, on the professional tier listing, Samus is an F rank. That means she is the worst character in the game. So what they did is they took out her Morph Ball dodge and made it just a sidestep. I mean, I'm not a competitive player, but that just seems really, really strange to me and really, really out of place, because I felt that Samus's dodge and the Morph Ball was pretty good. But I mean, hey, maybe the competitive people think otherwise. Next, as far as Zero Suit, is they took away, at least in the newest update, I think it was still there in the previous, is they took away her little grapple thing, which I don't really care for. That's pretty stupid. I guess someone was a little whiny bitch and was like, oh, you're grabbing me too easy, or something like that. Or they couldn't get over the fact that she had 4 ways to grab on the edge. And they got rid of her down B for some reason and made it just a little bitchy ass flip. Like, what the hell what did that even do? That makes no difference. There was literally zero purpose to modifying that at all. Now, for the changes that were actually worth a damn in movesets, aside from the Pokemon's down Bs, they changed Mario's down B back to the Mario Tornado. That's good. No one liked the Flood. Everyone's cool with that change. They gave Link the regular boomerang instead of the Gale boomerang. Personally, I feel like I'm the only person on Earth who doesn't give a shit one way or the other. And yes, I do play as Link a lot. Snake, they got rid of his homing missiles and replaced it with a tranquilizer dart, which I think is really interesting because it's like, holy shit, how did they get to do that? Like, I don't know how they did that. I don't know if maybe that was like unused concepts or something and Nintendo said no, but that's pretty cool to me, so I'm mostly okay with that. It just takes getting used to. And they replaced his left and right smash being a rocket to a combat knife, which is another one of, like, it's not a problem, it just throws you off because you're so used to the way Snake used to handle. Another one, or two in this case, being Peach and Jigglypuff, because they changed Jigglypuff's rest from being absolute shit to being good like it was in Melee, kind of like Peach's butt bomb, so that was a good change. Glad they did that. Pit and Meta Knight they made less annoying, which, you know, that's good, because no one really liked the bullshit people would do with that. That was a welcome change, no problem there. Wario, for some reason, they got rid of his bike. At no point ever did I ever think, you know, this bike is really overpowered. But I guess somebody out there did. And they replaced it with just a really colorful shoulder tackle, which right there, that says that you didn't even try and think of a better move, you just literally took his over A and magnified it a little bit. The bike felt more natural, so I mean, if you're going to replace it, or at least replace it with something worth a shit, that's my input on it. And then the last two that at least I can say I can think of off the top of my head are Falco being his reflector not being kicked, which, you know, that's... I'm half and half towards it. I mean, I don't really use Falco, but I can't imagine it would be very fun to have him kick it over and over. And then Marth's B attack being just, you know, the way it was in Melee versus a stab, which to me, it doesn't make a difference one way or the other. But I guess to someone out there, it does. That move list thing went on a lot longer than I actually thought it was going to. Next is the fact of the costumes. Now, this is where it really gets cool, and I'm like, oh wow, I'm really glad they did that. Because a lot of the costumes they put in the games are super cool nods. It's like, hey, you remember Donkey Kong and Punch-Out Wii? Well, here's his costume. Go play as that. Hey, remember Dry Bowser? Go play as him. That's super cool. Remember the cyber armor Mewtwo had from the fucking Pokemon movie? Play as that. Like, that was the super cool changes that I feel helped inspire Nintendo for Smash 4 to incorporate things like that. I feel like that's the reason Samus has her light suit and Fierce Deity Link is in the game, is because they noticed it from Project M, but at the same time Nintendo actually hates Project M, so I'm not entirely sure. But I like the nods that they do. My only complaints are just with the newest version, where for some reason, and I don't understand how, but they released it with Justin Bailey's eyebrows, eye area, being transparent, so you can see right through her head, and it's just creepy. And that was the first thing I noticed, and I'm blind. So if a blind person is the first thing that I can see, you're really doing something wrong. Now, I want to reiterate this because this makes no sense to me, and this is another one of those things that I just can't wrap my mind around. This game was modified for competitive purposes. This was because people were too bitchy about Brawl and decided to change it in favor of nostalgia. So, they have their own stage lists. Okay, that's fine, whatever. But here's where I have the question mark. If it's meant for competitive play, why the hell is Big Blue and Rainbow Cruise even in it? Because to me, those seem like the least competitive or even friendly things in a competition to battle. So, with that in mind, your argument for competitive kind of goes right out the window. Which then leaves the question of, okay, so for some of the stages that are actually, you know, suitable for competitive, why did you change it? Like Peach's Castle removed the Bonsai Bill. And I've been playing Melee for a long time, and it's really not that hard to avoid a giant fucking missile. Like, I find it harder to get blown up by it than to avoid it, and to me, the Bonsai Bill was just the funniest thing in the game, so that's why I liked it. It was really cool to try and get someone in it, but they took that out for some reason. Another thing that I actually really like, and I don't know if I can actually go back to it in the actual N6, the official games, is the free moving camera. I like that. You can move the camera in 360 degrees, zoom all the way out, you can literally explore the entire stage and everything. And I find it super cool because not only do you get to like look at your character all the way around, front and back, but you get to explore the area and kind of see how the stages were developed. So that's really interesting to me because it's like, oh hey, you just pulled these files, you know, from Melee and Brawl, and you get to actually explore it with the camera, no restraints. That's super fucking cool. I like it. I never knew that Wispy Wood's eyeballs and mouth were actually floating above the tree and not attached. That's really creepy, but now I know. Again, when it comes to the modifications, it was mainly meant for competitive nature. So gameplay-wise, it's just meant to mimic Melee. You're not nearly as floaty, but personally, I never found it as a problem. I will be honest, though, and say that it feels fine to me. There's really no problem. The biggest improvement they did was they removed tripping. That's cool. Everyone hated tripping anyway, so there you go. You get a round of applause for knowing what's actually shit most of the time. This is another one where I just don't understand things, and this is kind of where the question marks leave it. They actually did mess with the items, and what they did in particular was, at least that I've noticed, is they removed the spicy curry. It's not just enough to just turn the item off and not play with it. No, you gotta just take it completely out of the game and, you know, tell everybody that liked it, like me, to just fuck themselves. So that's kind of cool. Then for some reason, because I have the team healer turned off, but it still spawns, and then even when you pick it up, it doesn't do a damn thing anyway. So I don't get that, which then leads to the next questions. If you can add stages, you can add characters, you can add moves, why not add better items then? Because let's be honest, Melee had a lot better items than Brawl did. Like, that's just a fact. The barrel cannon, that was hilarious. The parasol, that was a pretty cool item too. It's just the question of like, why are you doing some of these changes but not thinking about this area? In addition to the items, is there my questions regarding the Pokemon. Because yet again, Brawl, in my opinion, has the absolute worst choices of Pokeball items ever, which is saying something because that means the N64 versions are better. But yeah, that's my question. If you can modify all this stuff, why not modify the Pokeballs? You can totally just get rid of Bonsly. Well, Bonsly's halfway okay. Get rid of Munchlax. Munchlax is like the second worst thing next to Goldeen. You know, you got shitty Pokemon, get rid of them. You got the files from Melee you can access, go ahead, go put like Zapdos in it, or some of the other cooler Pokemon. What about Unknown? Unknown was pretty cool, why not put him back in? Next, pushing it even further, still with the questions of why, is the assist trophies. For example, name a single person that you can think of that likes the assist trophies, Devil, Nintendogs, or Mr. Resetti. Can't think of any? Me either. So why are they still in the game then? If you have the ability to take and remove things, why are they still there? This one actually just annoys me because it's literally nostalgia and there's no other way you can argue your way around it. Granted, this has been changed for the update, but the results screen. They altered the results screen to be completely black, just like Melee. Why? What was the point of doing that? I want a serious answer. What does that accomplish? Now, to wrap things up with a close, after the release of 3.5, it's been announced that they're going to add characters Knuckles and Lyn. So again, they can add stuff, they can replace stuff, they can take stuff away. I'm excited for the idea of Knuckles and Lyn, mostly Knuckles, because that intrigues me. I'm curious to see where it goes, and I'm actually kind of glad they didn't pick anyone confirmed for Smash 4, because that means we're going to actually see something new, something a fan decided, something that's probably not actually ever going to happen. So this is interesting. but there's still the questions that remain unanswered. Now, before I go any further, because this is pretty much the end, it is only fair for me to mention that there are a lot of independent people out there that do things like this on their own. When I actually first found out about Project M, it was from Reed, and there was people that I went to school with in animation that actually would modify the game. I thought that was, I thought they worked for the people that did that or some shit. No, that was just them doing it. So you could make your own independent mods. Like the guy that went to school with me, he was super cool. He replaced fucking Ganondorf with Billy Mays as a costume. He put Cartman in to replace Wario as a costume. Bomberman for Pikmin. Like, that stuff was super cool. He added in Dr. Wily's Castle. Like, that stuff's cool. So yes, you can do stuff like that on your own. I don't know how to do it, honestly. But there are cool other choices out there other than what Project M has limited to offer. And the reason that this is relevant is because the biggest thing for me is the fact that there's an expansion pack out which now is not compatible with the newest version of Project M. That expansion pack has literally every single Super Smash Bros. Stage that's ever existed. So that right there says, hey, these people actually found out ways to push it further than you did and are doing your job better than you are. Now, as I come to a close with this, I do want to stress, I do like Project M. I find it fun to play. Hell, that's why I've got this footage recorded for you. And it's been a mix of both 3.5 and 3.02. The difference is that I really don't think 3.5 is worth owning until someone can come up with an expansion that is compatible with 3.5, because Project M is all about themselves. I don't want to hate the game, that's pretty much all it comes down to, but I find it so hard to enjoy something that doesn't feel like is put into it with as much consideration as what other people would do. I don't know, I can't really think of anything else further to say, but I like the game, it just frustrates me a lot, and I can't decide whether or not I actually want to like the game or I want to hate the game. But if you want my 2 cents, don't upgrade. Stick with the older stuff and then just get an expansion and actually enjoy playing a diverse selection of levels rather than with some costumes that weren't even finished in development. So there you go. I expect hate, but who knows. See you guys later. It's JC4R.